Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Opinion Machine, the show where we look at all things gaming. My name is Killjoy and I'm joined by the one, the only Mr. donHaize. How's it going, good sir?
Greetings, Vault Hunters. Hello, how's it going, man? I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yep, good as always. Today, we're going to be talking, kind of reviewing, but mostly talking about our thoughts on Borderlands 3, as we recently finished the main game, as well as a bunch of the side stuff as well. And I was like, yeah, we need to talk about this and whatnot. So, to start things off, before we go like deep into any of the other bits, I just want to kind of get your thoughts and feelings on the game as a whole. Like, how did you feel about playing it? Like, you obviously played Borderlands 2, now you play Borderlands 3, so how do you feel about this game now you've played it?
Certainly from like a graphical perspective and sort of the UI is so much cleaner than Borderlands 2, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The fact that you can buy everything now at a click of a button, like all your reload, like all your items and
ammo, yeah.
Ammo. The fact that you can just like reload everything at once. Oh, just like little things like that have just made the game like that much easier and smoother to play.
Yeah.
Personally, I had no issues with the game at all. I never had any bugs, doing anything too weird. We might have had one or two bugs throughout the whole game, but it was like very minor. It was like a reload, and that was sorted. Other than that, I mean, the game itself was awesome. Like really fun to play. Huge game. I mean, my God, I did not expect it to be that large on release.
Yeah.
I mean, we must have poured about 70 to 80 hours probably overall into that game.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
And I mean, it was really fun, really fun. I like a lot of things they've done, and there's certain things that I thought they could have done better, but ultimately, it was definitely the best looter shooter in my opinion. If we're gonna, if you had to pick one, definitely do that.
Yeah, I think if you ignore everything else, in terms of just what you as a player, the pure gameplay. The being able to slide, being able to vault, how the way the guns handled, the way the guns sounded, like everything made the experience feel like, I don't know, more engaging. Like it just felt really good to play, and I think that was something that I really enjoyed, because I didn't think when the game came out I was like, oh, I'm not going to use this slide like ever, and then you realise actually there's reasons to use it, but also for very early on I was like, oh my God, sliding past someone while they're in cover and like shooting them was like one of the most satisfying things to do.
Sliding into enemies knocks them over as well and makes them lose that balance. Or yeah, it's pretty cool. It's the thing that you never knew you wanted, right? yeah,
exactly. And it's like, for me, when I got like a Jacobs shotgun early on, so I got this kind of like old style shotgun, it sounded really cool. I was like sliding past people, and something they added, which in the grand scheme of things probably is quite minor, but it made like a big difference, was like blasting someone with a shotgun at point blank. If they didn't die, they would generally go flying backwards or they'd fall on their ass, which was really satisfying to do. Something that I was like, this is awesome. It's like shotguns in this game. I think shotguns specifically in this game just felt really fun to use because
felt impactful. Yeah, definitely agree.
And that was something that like it was just like, okay, the slide, the vaulting, the guns. A lot of things that they put in here, like all quite minor, but they all added up to make quite a different experience and a more engaging experience. Really, really helped. My overview on the game, I've talked about this before, is like the game as a whole, I generally really like it. I think the game's really, really fantastic. I actually probably encountered more bugs because we were playing online, or I was connected to you. I got a lot of audio bugs quite a lot of the time, more than anything else, where like a dude would like die and there'd be like a spinning like energy ball or something, like one of his abilities, and it would just stay there and the audio would just keep playing and things. Nothing particular. I didn't have anything game breaking except for that not being able to start the game, but that was, you know, a different issue. But
that was
oh man,
yeah. That was an experience at the start. It took us like what 4 hours to figure out what the hell it was.
Oh man.
Well, actually, I didn't figure out what it was. I just found a workaround. I had to join the game and then invite you afterwards. And once you were in, but it was just a loading cinematic.
That almost killed my hype right then and there. The fact that we managed to work around it was like, oh, I sighed a relief. Like I was like, oh, thank God I can actually play this game, you know. But yeah, luckily I figured a way out fixing it. But yeah, I encountered a lot more like the issues that other people were having, but that had. But like for me, I try to split the two things up. If I'm looking at the game objectively without looking at the bugs and stuff, I think this is the best Borderlands game in terms of mechanics, the feel, and playing and stuff like that. So moving forward then, let's talk about, before we get onto the guns, I'm going to ask you, like, you played Amara in this game, so went with the Siren and things like that. How did you find play? You seem to enjoy her. I think you got more into her as the game went on. How did you find playing her as a character?
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed it more as I got through the game. Obviously, phase lock is always going to be that ability that I'm like, well, I played Maya in Borderlands 2, so it's what I'm used to. I loved it. Such a great ability. Obviously, they took away the revival aspect of that ability, which is kind of annoying, but it is what it is. So it took a while before you start getting the augments, and then I actually upgraded the phase lock to, I think it's called the Eternal Fist, which is like a chain grasp, and that's when things became really awesome. So Eternal Grasp, I believe it's called, is literally when you will fist, you pick someone up, phase lock them, if you take them out before it expires, it jumps onto the next person, like the next closest enemy. So it was like this chain reaction of like picking stuff up. Coupled with the augment I have, which was called Allure, which basically draws everything in like a black hole almost.
That was so good.
So we were like picking up barrels and stuff, and I'm like, oh, barrel, nice. And there's like 5 enemies just into this thing, and the combination of that just made it just unbelievable. And you actually found me a legendary what was it?
Mod.
A mod, yeah, legendary mod. That basically meant that it triggered my my action skill element, which in this case was fire. Plus it did bonus fire damage, so it was just insane. Like once we hit something like, I must have been like level 30 around about that point, I think. Yeah, things just went crazy, and I just absolutely thoroughly enjoyed it. It was just like picking people out to fight, and once you get to level 40, I think it was, when I finally got my my elite skill in the Mystical Assault, I could basically use it twice in one fight. So basically I can use it once when it's on cooldown, once per cooldown. You see what I mean? I was just nuts. I was just like taking bosses out the fight, I was having like juggling two enemies. Oh, it's insane. It was so cool. And obviously each one could do the chain reaction, so it was just insane. It did so much fun.
It did get to
really
that point.
Felt the impact.
Yeah, it was fun watching enemies. It was like literally like they're just like getting like balloons attached to them. You like kill one, and then another one would float up, and then another one would float up, and it's like, well, this certainly makes our life a bit easier. That was
she was awesome. One thing I never really used that much, but was pretty cool, is that you could jump off, like almost bolt off things, and then use your crouch to then create like a slam attack. So I know there's quite a lot of different augments and different things. That was obviously one of the things you could go down. Yeah. I just found it. I was all about the damage. I was almost playing a mage basically.
Yeah. It was an interesting combination because like you were obviously locking out enemies at the fight and then playing. Weirdly enough, like I had more health. I was actually the tankier character, but I was trying to play a sniper the majority of the time. It was weird. Like I ended up having like so much health regen, like ridiculous. Like I had like 4 or 5 things regenerating health constantly, so it was like I could just like tank a shit ton of damage. But yeah, it was weird. I think
another part of that as well. So that legendary mod that you gave me reduced my health by I think like 70%.
Yeah.
But obviously all the benefits that were there, it did like a whole list of things. I'm like, well, yeah. So I was pretty much just living on the shield. As soon as the shield went, I had like 400 HP, so I was like literally dead instantly.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Which is why I was always being down. But obviously the plus side is when I did put someone in the air, they got absolutely wrecked for it.
Oh yeah, like damage wise, like as soon as you had like that mod and the double phase grasp, it was like damn, like shit, everything's just like getting, like especially when we were doing some of the arenas towards the end of the game, like all you could hear is these people like spinning around, barrels being absorbed. It was funny to just watch it, if nothing else. Like you think, okay, these are quite tough, and then thump thump, and then suddenly everything's lifted into the air. It's like, oh cool, right, we can just blast on them. So that was actually pretty funny to watch. Like And normally I don't really like enjoy the Siren characters, but she at least sounds like she's got a lot of things that she can do, and it sounded like she was pretty fun to play.
Yeah, she liked calling people pricks as well.
Oh, that was hilarious.
That was funny as hell.
Yeah.
It's like, how does this make you feel when I take your weapons away from you? Like you're a prick?
Yeah.
That was such a good line. But yeah, I mean, as a character, I didn't find her that funny, to be honest. I found her more like very serious and to the point.
Yeah.
I think I would have preferred Zane from a playthrough point of view, at least from the comical aspect and the sort of character.
He's so funny.
I was definitely thinking Zane was like the funniest character.
Yeah.
Of the 4 that were there. Obviously, you played Flack. How did you find him?
Yeah, Flack was basically like I was never, when I first started playing, I had an idea of which tree I wanted to go down, but I wasn't sure how good some of the skills were until I started getting them, because before the game out they released the skill trees. I was like, I'm a little bit unimpressed by some of this. However, the combination of a lot of the guns I was using and a lot of the skills and having the pet and stuff, it turns out actually a lot of it was quite good. I would have preferred the numbers to be a little bit higher, but like I ended up trying to play a very sniper-based class to start with. I mean, later on in the game I was using other weapons, but he has a lot of crit damage. That's the tree that I went down. Was like, I'm all about critting people, that's what I want to do. Combination of that with fadeaway, which is the ability to go invisible, and then you have 3 shots that you can fire. If you crit with those shots, it was like plus 500% more crit damage. So there were times when you could just, like, you could be picking people up, and I could just be like, bang, right, he's dead, right, next person, bang, you know, I could like instantly take out people. He was a lot of fun. Like, having the pet aspect was also a lot of fun. Like, I think, honestly, like, him and Mose, I would probably say are the two, if you were playing this game single player, they're probably the characters I would start with, because she has the mech and he has the pet, and the pet is actually really useful. And the fact that you've got a choice of 3 different ones and things, like, he's a really fun character to play as, and he was funny as well, which he was a lot more, he was very sarcastic actually, I think, a lot of the time. But like the point when you could like activate the pet and send him over, and he's like, that one's talking shit, and then like that triggered me the first time I heard that. But I really liked it. Like, I liked the fact that he had, out of the skills that he used, I obviously went for the cloak one. I liked the idea of being able to get out of combat when I needed it, but that increased damage. But I also did try the racks at one point as well, and that was pretty fun, because you can just spawn racks in and just like from far away just like hit people. But I think he's great. I think he was, I mean, I played him and Zane, and I liked both those characters. I think those are the 2 characters I was umming and ahhing about anyway. But because I wanted to play a sniper class, I think Flack was really good for that. And I'm kind of curious about his other tree that I didn't even touch, which is basically all about his pet. I wonder how good it is to just like basically make your pet this like buff like creature that does everything. That seems like quite a fun way of playing the game as well. So overall, I would say he was a lot of fun, and being able to have the pet really added an interesting angle that hasn't been done before in Borderlands. So I was like I super enjoyed playing him, and I got one of his skills that basically let me, it had a 20% chance of critting no matter where I hit somebody. So with a machine gun or like an SMG, that's really powerful, because you obviously fire so many bullets. But yeah, overall I had an absolute blast with him. So he's a character that I would definitely recommend to anyone who's starting the game. I'd be like, hey, if you want an extra like helper, get the pet. We had the spider. I had the spider around for the most part. Though I will say the pet did get in the way sometimes. It was like, get out the way, you fat fuck, you know. It's like that was annoying. But yeah, I liked the combination that we had. I thought it worked really well. And it'd be really interesting if we played it again, you know, playing the other characters or whatever. Especially, I think for you, like, I think if you played Zane next time, his line, everything he says is gold, basically. Like, he's so funny, and that's something that I can really appreciate.
Yeah, no, definitely. And obviously you had the pet that actually could revive you in the end, so that was obviously helpful.
Yes.
But yeah, definitely. I think, well, I've already started doing a bit of a separate playthrough anyway on a solo.
Yeah.
As Zane, and yeah, you're right. It's like there's some brilliant lines. Banjo and a cow's ass.
Oh, the banjo and the cow's ass is amazing. Yeah. It's so good. I mean, the thing I like about Zane is the fact that you can just, because honestly, grenades in this game didn't feel that powerful. So the fact that Zane can have 2 action skills is way better than having grenades. Like, I didn't give a toss. I had the double ganger and I had the little sentinel drone, which meant that I had something that did damage and basically the enemies could extra damage and stuff like that. And I had the double ganger, which meant I could switch places. They would shoot the double ganger, stuff like that. So I went very movement based with Zane, but he's so fun. Like, just playing a character that's all about moving and constantly moving. I was like, you know what, this is a really fun character to play as well. That's why I couldn't tell, like, for me, Flack and Zane are on the same level. Like, I think both of them are like 10 out of 10 kind of character. I had an absolute blast with both of them.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I thought it was a really good mix of characters, to be honest.
Yeah.
Overall, I think Mose is probably one of the easiest characters to play in solo.
Yes.
Just judging by what kind of character and skill she has, like being able to literally pull out a massive mech at any point.
Yeah.
Obviously, once your ability thing comes on cooldown, but yeah, that seems to add a different dynamic.
Yeah, definitely.
You get like nuke guns and stuff attached to your shoulder as well, and have different weapon types. But I was happy with my choice. Honestly, I thought Amara was absolutely incredible. Certainly, as you level her up, like her strength just gets stronger and stronger. Like her reload times were awesome. So I was very much focused on the pistols.
Yes.
And having like a really quick reload on that was amazing because it did high damage. Like pistols in this game were extremely strong. Versus certainly what they were in previous iterations of the game. But obviously you have to reload constantly because you have like 6 mags, or 6 ammo, or 5 or 4, depending on what type of gun you got. I generally went for the Jacobs because of the big boy damage.
Yes.
But yeah.
Well, speaking of guns, we'll segue into that part. The gun manufacturers in this game are very different, and that is something that I really appreciated. Something that I wanted from Borderlands 2 was, hey, I want the guns to be that different, so that you have to make an actual choice between, you know, Vladorf and Dahl or Jacobs and Kov and all this different stuff, and Atlas and things. So I really like the guns in this. So for you, what were some of the your favorite manufacturers, and maybe some which you didn't use as much? Like, so what were you going with most of the time?
So at the start of the game, I was very much all about the Kov because of the infinite ammo. That was really cool. Really enjoyed that part. But obviously the damage was considerably less, and it had the chance of breaking.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to get too attached to one of those guns, really, if it was as an off chance it breaks. So I kind of ended up going towards Jacobs pistols. A, because they had insanely high damage versus assault rifles and subs. Obviously, there was no point in really going for a sniper because you were playing a sniper class. So yeah, I mean, Turg I wasn't too keen on. Although they did make some cool changes with the Turg weapons, so you can obviously use it as an explosive gun, or you can stick people with the rockets and then blow them up all at the same time for bonus damage.
Yeah.
Which was cool actually. It did quite a lot. There was early in the game I started to play around with that a little bit. But I kind of just reverted back to the pistols for the most part. That was 60% of my game.
Yeah.
Until I found some really awesome assault rifles. So I actually picked up a legendary called Disciplined Star Helix.
Oh, nice.
The assault rifle that fires 3 different in a line, almost like a star. There's a horizontal way, and it was just en masse basically, and it only consumed 1 ammo, so it was just decimating everyone around me, and I was like, oh my god, this gun's weird.
Yeah.
But it was amazing. And then the Egon that you gave me, actually. So on your previous playthrough where you got it was almost end game, and it says it does 73 damage. The reality is it does 300 damage.
Yeah.
It's basically just a fire laser. So it's just burning the shit out of people. And not until the end of the playthrough we got a Jacobs pistol, which was a legendary, a 14 mag size, called the Companion. We got that one in the Circle of Slaughter, and that was just my game then. I was just 100% this gun is just the shit.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's that pistol was pretty insane.
Yeah, it was. So I didn't really use shotguns much. I didn't really use rocket launchers. Submachine guns I did at the start of the playthrough, and then I realized basically assault rifles basically do everything a submachine gun does, but better really for the most part, and doesn't like rinse my ammo as much. But ultimately, pistols was the one that I used the most because I kind of spent a lot of money on the pistol ammo.
Yeah.
And also the damage was just considerably higher, and I didn't keep running out of ammo every 5 minutes, which was an issue with the game because there's so many enemies.
Yeah.
You're just constantly running out of ammo, and there was a lot of pickup points, but there's a lot of running around.
Yeah.
And ultimately, the pistol made my life that much easier.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting going into this game because in Borderlands 2, my favourite two manufacturers were Jacobs and Torg. Like, I liked the other weapon. I like bandit weapons in that game, but they're not in this anymore. You have Cov instead. For me, I never really used Cov weapons. I just didn't like them because every time you just go for the ammo. Because you weren't reloading, you just rinse your ammo. So I was like, okay, I don't really like these. Dahl and Vladorf were interesting because you could, if it was Dahl, you'd have firing rates. So Dahl would have full auto or semi-automatic or burst. And honestly, like, I really liked Dahl machine guns because they would do a little bit less damage than like a Jacobs machine gun or like an assault rifle. But they just felt really fun and satisfying to use. And the same with Vladorf, except Vladorf would usually do one of two things. You could slap a bipod on it where you wouldn't move but it'd be super accurate. Or it would have an attached shotgun or like a rocket launcher or something to the bottom of it. And I didn't find too many of those that I wanted to use, but I enjoyed the fact that there were those options. But overall, like, Jacob's weapons in this game felt insanely fun to use. Like, whether that was their shotguns, the pistols, the sniper rifles are really, really powerful. Even though that sometimes the Jacobs ones are super slow at reloading or, like, they don't have the fastest fire rate. But in terms of accuracy and, like, hitting someone, they're, like, really good. And same with Torg was interesting because Torg I definitely didn't enjoy them as much until I found essentially a Torg shotgun, but was a grenade launcher, and that completely changed the game, especially in my Zane playthrough. But this too, like, I liked the fact that you could kind of just jump around and just aim at the ground, and you didn't really have to think. It was just like bang, right, okay, boom, right, and those were really, really, really fun. But a lot of Torg, I didn't really use Torg machine guns. I like Torg pistols; I thought they were pretty cool. We haven't even spoken about Malawan, actually. Malawan in this game are really cool because they have two different elements. So that was something that's awesome because it meant that you would hopefully get maybe like fire and shock, which meant that, oh good, I'm good against people with shields and I can burn people. Malawan guns in this are great. Like, I didn't use them hardly because they would all like charge up and stuff. But like, at points when I needed something that was going to get through armor or going to get through shields, like those guns were awesome.
Yeah. They had a pretty good pistol actually. That was like corrosive and I think it was shock. So yeah, it was really good against like mech units and also against Malawan guys.
Yeah.
So the Malawan gave you multiple elements. Torg was like sticky explosive projectiles. Vladorf gave you under-barreled attachments. Yeah. Dahl was ult fire modes. Tedior was like pursuit guns. So you throw it and then it goes off like a grenade and chases people. Atlas is one we didn't mention. I thought Atlas was amazing in this. They had like tracker darts. So you like tag an enemy and then you switch to your main thing and you just like smart bullets just track the enemies wherever they go.
Yeah.
They did rinse ammo, but they were so good and they did like really high damage. Most of the assault rifles that I have were like high damage with all Atlas. The Jacobs assault rifles I felt were pretty hard to aim, honestly. Yeah. They had like really weird scopes or no scopes at all. And that was the one thing that I had an issue with the game, is the fact that you can't change like scopes.
Yeah.
Kind of like you get what you're given.
Yeah.
And which is fair enough. That's very Borderlands. I do kind of wish for like Borderlands 4, if they do one, or for like future iterations, they would like put like scrap parts and like be able to customize the weapons your own way. That would be really awesome. It's probably never going to happen. It's probably a wishful thinking, but like I had some really good weapons, but it just had like an awful scope, and I'm like, well, I can't really use this. Like, this is just, I don't really see the benefits in it. But yeah, no, I think Atlas was probably one of my favorite assault rifle manufacturers actually. Definitely over Jacobs.
Yeah, definitely. I'd agree with that, because the thing what was cool about those is that you get like, it'd be like 300 damage times 2, 300 damage times 3. So once you tracked somebody, you would just like rinse them. It was like, great, I don't even have to worry about it now, I don't have to aim. And they looked really cool. Like the gun designs of Atlas were fucking amazing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I agree. Like Atlas is in this game, because Atlas were actually in the first Borderlands, and then they weren't in Borderlands 2. But their Atlas guns now are way better than what they were like in the first Borderlands. So that, I think, honestly, the guns being so different, the manufacturers being so different, was one of the reasons why I liked this game as much as I did, because I had to actually think about what I wanted as a loadout. It was like, do I want faster fire rate? Do I want accuracy? You know, do I want the ability, maybe in the area I'm it's hard to, like, there's not much cover, or there's lots of cover, so do I want to be able to track people and then hide behind and shoot them with an Atlas gun? Do I need, like, radius damage, like with a tool weapon? Like, for me, even though I would find a gun, I'd be like, I'll stick with it for a while, I did like the fact that I had options, and they weren't just like, oh, this gun's got more damage, and this gun's got, like, you know, elemental. It was like, no, there's a genuine reason to switch out guns now, which I think is probably what made the game as fun as it was for me personally.
Yeah, definitely. In the legendary, so I never played the legendary Vault Hunter mode.
Yeah.
But my experience playing through the campaign was that, you know, with so many different combinations, I think they claimed they had over 1 billion combinations of weapons. And to be fair, they dropped loads. Like there was loads of drops throughout the game. The one problem I found is perhaps once you got maybe past like level 10, 20. We kind of became over-leveled for the game in terms of the story modes. And all of the drops were just shit, if I'm being honest. It was only until we got to like the boss fights that we ever got anything better. In my opinion, that was just my kind of thing where I was like, yeah, there's great guns, but actually nothing compares to what I've got already.
Yeah.
You know, once you get... And then those were from like bosses and boss fights and... yeah, so that was the one thing I think, you know, maybe that would change hugely with the legendary Vault Hunter mode.
Yeah.
Obviously, is so many different combinations, but there was only around about well, I don't know how many exactly, but I felt like there was like 500 like core weapons.
Yeah.
And then it was just stats from that. So yeah, great. There's 1 billion combinations, but most of it's just stats differences. I think the changes are like on that is like the legendary variations. So you can pick up the same legendary, but have like 10 different variations of that legendary.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see playing on like legendary Vault Hunter and like the additional what they called when you
Mayhem.
at the end.
Mayhem.
Yeah. So all the mayhem modes that you can do, that could be quite a good way of getting interesting loot.
Yeah.
But like in the, like they got the little boo, which is like the little running around machine gun. That we never found that. So there's quite a lot of weapons there that I'm sure that are in the game, but we just never got round to getting.
Yeah.
All the guns did seem kind of straightforward. Like there's no like nothing crazy that I really found. I think the Egon was the one thing that, holy crap, this is completely different and changed everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my thoughts on that was the fact that there could have been more like actual core weapons.
Yeah.
They should have been more frequently dropped throughout the actual story mode rather than only in boss fights.
Yeah.
And I thought all the unique weapons were really only found in boss fights, in my experience.
It's interesting because you're saying about like, because I felt like playing this with you on normal mode, it felt like all the bosses were way easier. Now I don't know, like I think we just got over leveled towards the end of it or something. But like when you think about, you have insane amount of gun drops. You then, the more you use guns, you get emails sent to you, and you get guns that way as well, which a lot of those were pretty cool. If you do all the challenges, you get really cool like legendaries and stuff. Like it does get to a point in normal mode near the end of the game where like you aren't going to be picking up a lot of stuff. And even when we got the Iridian gun that spawns weapons, it's like, okay, like I could find a gun with maybe like a little bit of extra damage, like very minuscule stat buffs. And then we did the first Circle of Slaughter, and I think we actually found some pretty good loot in there. But that was the only one that we did out of the 3 of them, really, apart from maybe like 1 or 2 guns. But definitely, the thing is, like now I'm playing through Vault Hunter mode, true Vault Hunter mode with Zane. It does that thing where it scales everything up, so then you get the enjoyment of finding all this fucking awesome loot because everything does like 5 times more damage and like has all this other stuff. But it definitely got to a point where we were like, and at the same time we were playing with Bloody Harvest was on, so with all the ghosts were dropping anointed weapons, which it was like some of these are all right. They've got cool ideas, but there's still a lot of it was just junk. So we were just getting inundated by these just tons and tons and tons of crap weapons. It was like, like it did become a bit like not like grindy, but a bit of a chore to look through a lot of the stuff. So hopefully, playing through, I mean, Mayhem probably ups everything, but playing through True Vault Hunter mode, everything becomes scales, so you then get way better weapons. So all the weapons we got now, by the time you finish with True Vault Hunter mode, everything else is doing like, 1,000 damage plus, it's like way more stuff. But yeah, it was
fair enough. I just say not playing that obviously means I've only played half the game, so I guess in that respect, that was just my experience up to Vault Hunter mode, actually playing through the core campaign.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, we had some pretty cool loot, like at the end where we got that little chest and there was like 4 legendaries. Like, ooh!
That was insane.
Hello!
Yeah, that was insane.
So, don't get me wrong, there was still some pretty good drops throughout the game. One thing I thought was really cool and I love that they've added it into was trinkets and like weapon skins.
Yeah.
And that just, like, I was so cool. Like, you can literally have like a skull hanging from your weapon, or some of the skins were really cool. Some of them were like animated.
Yeah.
So I found just playing through the game, I found like an epic trinket, or sorry, weapon skin even. And it was like stormy, so you could see all like electrical currents running through your gun.
Nice.
That was so awesome. Love that. I will say the cheeky keys were definitely not as strong as they were on the Borderlands 2.
That's because you just got all mods for me.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that happened as well.
Yeah. That was funny.
And the only gun I think we forgot about is Hyperion, which gives you on Borderlands 3. It gives you like shield and accuracy.
That's really useful.
So when you slide, you get like a shield, or you can when you're aiming, you get a shield.
Yeah.
Which was pretty cool. The problem is I found them so unimpactful, the actual weapons themselves, compared to Borderlands 2. Because in Borderlands 2, Hyperion was like my favorite weapon. In Borderlands 3, they're probably my least favorite weapon. So they were really, like, in my eyes, toned down.
Yeah.
But what it gave you wasn't that great. And so I ended up kind of going towards Jacob's, which in Borderlands 2 was probably one of my least.
Yeah.
So it was like a complete switch around in terms of like my preferences for weapons.
It's weird that, isn't it? Because it's like, I forgot about Hyperion, you mentioned it then, but at points playing through the game, I'd have a submachine gun or I'd have a shotgun, and they're actually really cool because that extra shield can deflect damage. It was quite cool just to be like, like run at somebody with them. But yeah, thinking about it, they're because I didn't like Hyperion weapons at all in Borderlands 2, because I hated the fact that they get more accurate the longer you hold down, which they do here. But yeah, it's weird. I forgot about that. I think it's just because I usually go for damage over anything else, so I kind of look at like Jacobs and stuff. But yeah, I like what they were doing with Hyperion, because their guns again looked pretty fucking cool the way they're designed and stuff. But yeah,
yeah, don't get me wrong, all of the weapon designs look so cool, and the fact that you can preview each weapon as well and like spin it around and stuff. Yeah, bueno. That was lush.
You mentioned on like skins and stuff, like even the character skins in this were pretty funny. Like we got some of the the Bloody Harvest stuff that got released as some heads and things, but like I
love the customization options. There's so much you can do. Yeah, I mean that was amazing. Actually finding those were like, for me, when I was playing through the game, I was like kind of more interested in getting the skins than I was getting the weapons themselves.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, cool. And like the fact that you can change each color, and like you have 3 different options. You've got sort of your head, your armor, and your sort of
the secondary
legs.
color, wasn't it? Yeah.
And then in those you've got 3 different color options you can go with. So that was really cool. The fact that you can literally have like endless customization. Very similar to that of your vehicles as well. The vehicles, you could do the similar kind of thing.
Yeah.
You customize the colors of them and stuff. So yeah, I mean, in terms of that was really cool addition. I love that.
Yeah. Actually, speaking of vehicles, how did you find the fact that, I mean, there wasn't a massive amount of options, but as like, you had 3 different vehicles in this game, but each vehicle had in most of its subsections can have like extra, different guns, different boosters, different armor. How did you find like the vehicles and stuff in this one?
I really quite like them. My Cyclone, the little one wheel thing, was definitely my favourite.
Yeah.
So cool. And yeah, so the customizations, you can have it levitate and stuff, and I think you had like a blink one in the end.
Yeah.
So you can literally like blink forwards. Yeah, I mean, it's very different, that's for sure. I like the fact that you can customize them. I like the fact that you can... I liked how you actually upgraded them as well.
Yeah.
So normally if you find something like cool out in the wild, as it were, you can kind of like hijack the vehicle, take it back to the catch a ride, and then get it sort of, you get the spare part kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then you can use that for all of your future vehicles. And also they'll have like certain vehicles or vehicle types like just hidden in certain areas. You'd have to like do like some sort of jumping puzzle or challenge to try and get to it. So you get it, ping it back, and again you can take those mods or parts. So I really liked how they did it. They kind of like had some that were like kind of very visible, but you had to do like a jumping challenge, and some that you just had to just find if you got lucky, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I thought that was quite a cool little addition, really, to have that customization option. I don't think we even found all of them. We found like most of them, but
and then I didn't know how to get certain ones, and then I realised you hijacked a few out that the enemy had, which had parts that you just don't find, and you take them back to the catcher. I was like, okay, that's why I can't find these last few, because you have to go to the different planets and find the ones that the enemies have, like the spiky wheel and stuff like that. So that was really cool.
The one the only reason I even found that out was because I saw this one with like, it was bright purple or pink, and it had like spikes on the wheels, and I was like, that is one kick-ass vehicle I like.
Yeah.
Gimme. Catch him. I couldn't catch him. He was like faster than me. He was like more agile, and I'm like, damn. So I basically just sort of realised what his route was and like just jumped at him and knocked him out of his vehicle. Like, yeah, I like that.
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
That's when I realised that you could do it, and then after that I was like, okay, I'm on the eye out for now. Every time I see something that's pretty cool, I'm like, I'll have that.
yeah, no, it's a really cool way, and that brings into the challenges. Actually, I say challenges. What I mean is like the challenges given to you by Zero, by Hammerlock, by Ellie. These were really cool. I thought this was a really cool way of making you explore the map, where you had to find radio towers, you had to like go on legendary hunts, you had to like murder, like assassinate targets, find the cars. I think I'm missing one. The Typhon logs, like all of that. I thought was because you got XP from doing it as well. But it's a really good way of saying, hey, there's like stuff in this area. You could look at the challenge list, and go, oh, there's a hunt here, and you could look at the map and be like, oh, let's go and do this stuff. How did you find those things, like the ability of finding these like silly like creatures to kill or assassination targets in the logs and stuff?
Yeah, so the legendary creatures or legendary hunts I found were a little bit underwhelming, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
They were just a bit too easy. I don't know if that's a combination we had really good weapons and or we were higher level than we should have been. Or they were just that weak. So that was a little bit disappointing, but the idea itself was awesome. I'm sure that'll be more interesting in the True Vault Hunter mode. The Typhon logs, Typhon de Leon, like learning more about the legendary Vault Hunter. I think he was like the first Vault Hunter.
Yeah.
So it's really cool understanding him. He was hilarious. Like I was not expecting him to be as funny as he was, but yeah, he was a funny guy. There was also Iridian ones as well, which we find towards the end of the game.
Yes,
which kind of follows. I can't remember her name now.
She's one of the Guardians, isn't she, or something?
She is. That starts with N. But yeah. Anyway, you find her and she find her things in the end, and she tells you a story about what happens to the Iridians, and kind of just adds a bit of lore. And I love lore in games. Just makes for much more interesting, makes the world more interesting in my eyes.
Yeah, definitely. All of them were pretty fun. I'm trying to think, because what was the other one? Oh, the radio towers. I think it was the other one as well. You have to like go past and find the radio towers. So I quite like those because they were jumping puzzles, and I like jumping puzzles. So
yeah. So it was the Iridian writings. It was Nereid. I'm thinking.
That's it, Nereid. Yeah.
So she was the one who chained the destroyer originally and like wiped out the Iridians. So it's interesting to sort of find out what really happened. I'm assuming she's probably going to be a future expansion. I really hope. It'd be cool if you like try and find her and track her down.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the echo logs as well. They're pretty cool as always.
Yes. Yeah.
Fun additions to the world.
Yeah, all that stuff's pretty cool. That brings me on to something then that's obviously a big part of this game. Let's talk about story and let's talk about characters. How did you find the story, and which of the characters did you enjoy, new or old, and which characters were you not so hot on?
It's an interesting one. So the actual story itself was okay. It wasn't that fantastic. I did like the idea of the siphoning abilities from Troy and Tyrene.
Yeah.
As the characters, I mean, they were pretty good for the characters they played.
Yeah.
Very different to Jack.
Yeah.
So it was hard to. How do you compete against Handsome Jack? It's a bar. It's quite a high bar to catch.
Yeah.
So I think if you have to take that out of context and say, well, actually, you know, for what the kind of story was, I thought it was pretty good. I like the fact that they siphoned powers and stuff.
They're also streamers.
Interesting. Other characters that I thought were pretty notable, obviously Reese, both with and without the moustache.
Yeah.
Like both variations. That was pretty cool. I'll tell you who I really liked, and that was Lorelei.
Yeah.
That was an unexpected one. She loves her tea.
The coffee. Yeah, the coffee.
Yeah, I want my coffee.
Yeah.
And like 5 missions to find a coffee was that's quite cool.
I am the coffee commander.
Yeah, you have to fight. You have to fight the coffee commander to get his cup.
Yeah.
So when a thermo flask.
Yeah.
Wainwright Jacobs, obviously, it was nice to actually see the heads of the factions.
Yes, that was really cool.
So we saw, was it Mr. Junior?
Katagawa.
Katagawa, that's him.
Yeah.
It was interesting. Obviously Zero, like who doesn't like Zero? He's like absolutely, that was epic seeing him.
I love Zero.
So I never played. Is it the
Tails?
Tales of the Borderlands. So I think Clay was he in that one? So I didn't know him.
No, Clay wasn't in there. The main characters from Tales that were in this were Reese and Vaughn.
Oh yeah, Vaughn. I mean, obviously Vaughn was brilliant.
Bandit Life.
Bandit Life. Abs the days.
Yeah, he was great.
I tell you who I did really like though, and that was Balex. Navigated bitches.
Yeah, that was a surprise. Like I didn't expect him to be as funny as he was.
Yeah, he was absolutely fantastic.
Goddamn Genevieve!
Yeah. Ejected her ass.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's only one character that you know who it is. There's only one character that's the best character.
Is it Brick?
No. But she wasn't in it as much as I wanted.
Yeah.
The bit she was in it was absolutely just, oh my god, to a T. There were 2 parts that had me literally crying. The pizza bomb. That was freaking awesome.
That was funny.
That whole quest. And then obviously Enrique the Skag.
Oh my god! When you get her back, it's like I can eat you up and put you in the oven. Oh man, this is getting weird.
Did you meet another Skag and take his soul?
Yeah, I really hope that when they do major DLC for this game, that it focuses on Mordecai, Brick, and Tina as helping them do stuff, because I feel like those are the characters I really wanted to see, and I didn't get nearly enough of those characters in this game. And I hope that they do something. I hope that one of them is focused around, and I hope one of the DLCs is focused around Vaughn and Reese, because Vaughn and Reese in Tales from the Borderlands are like best friends, and in Borderlands 3 they don't even interact. So I really want to see those two. So for me, Vaughn and Reese, and then Tina, Brick, and Mordecai are the characters I wanted to see more of out of the entire cast, personally. Anyway. No,
sure. I mean, one of the characters we didn't touch on here as well was Ava. I don't know how you didn't really think much of her. Obviously, Maya was in it as well, so that was a throwback for me for Borderlands 2, because that was the character I played.
Yeah.
Feels bad, man.
Yep.
And yeah, I think those were the main characters that I remember. There was another guy, I can't remember his name. He was just crazy, kept jumping off everything and
Oh, Chad.
ended up getting injected in Chad. That's it, get injected into the face. So we mentioned there wasn't many bugs. Chad was the one bug that we had.
Yeah.
And we had to kind of leave the area and come back. But that was a funny quest, I must say. That did make me chuckle.
Yeah. It's interesting. The more I think about the characters and the story in this game, like, there's a lot to like, but then it feels like the best parts of the characters had the least amount of screen time, because I knew going into this game that they were bringing back a lot of characters, and I was like, well, somebody's going to die. Now, I honestly did think at one point it was going to be Zero. I was like, oh no, please don't kill Zero, but they don't. They focus primarily on the sirens in this game, and both Maya and then, spoilers, Lilith, at the end of the game, well, we think Lilith's dead anyway, and you see, they're killing off these sirens and whatnot, and I kind of didn't expect Maya to die, but it kind of makes sense. Whereas I felt Lilith's death wasn't really earned, and you're like, so you're going to leave the crew in charge with Ava and Tannis. I was like, I like Tannis, don't get me wrong, I think she's really funny, but like, she's not really a badass like Lilith is, and Ava I don't really like. So that part of it I was a little bit disappointed with, but Hammerlock and Tina, Brick, Mordecai, a lot of the characters that I knew, and obviously Vaughn and Reese, the times that they were on screen, and like you said, Lorelei was a really good new addition. That was, they were really, there were characters in this game that were really well written. One character that didn't get a lot of screen time, which was weird, was Claptrap. Like, he's right at the beginning of the game, and then he has these few quests, but it felt like Claptrap was really pushed to the back in this game. Like, he's really not that involved. Like, he does have good dialogue, but yeah.
Wow, you say that. I think Claptrap's gone from one of my favourite characters to one of my least favourite. I found him in this more annoying than anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really didn't find him funny at all. Obviously, he's like the first person you meet in the game. And there are bits that are like, yeah, kind of funny. Him trying to run around stealthily.
That beginning bit was, I thought was pretty funny, yeah.
So that whole starting thing was pretty good. After that, I don't know, he just got a bit boring. The one thing I did find him funny was when he found his girlfriend's robot. I forget her name.
I can't remember. Yeah, her.
Yeah, she was quite funny. It was her that was funny though, not Claptrap. But the fact that the two of them kind of
bounced off each other. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of bounced off each other and made it funny. And also when he had the little rabbit things running around the ship. God knows what they were called. Oh
yeah, you jets them out into the space. He's like, I hate you, Tannis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There were parts of Claptrap was funny, but I didn't find him as funny as he was. Obviously, we know that the voice actors changed, but I don't think it was that. I just think his script was not as good as it has been in the past. And as I say, he didn't really have much screen time anyway. Like he didn't really do anything.
Yeah.
He was just on the ship complaining all the time, as far as I was concerned.
I honestly think that they would have been better off scaling back on some of the characters in this. I think because, and we'll get on to the environments in a minute, because you're planet hopping, like, when you get, like, for example, you get to Eden 6, it focuses on Hammerlock and Wainwright, and so you spend a big chunk of the game on Eden 6 with these characters, which is fine, but then you've got all these other characters on Sanctuary. I mean, even Moxie. Moxie's in this game, but you don't really talk to her that much, apart from, like, the towers and a couple of quests, and it's like, maybe this game would have been better if they either saved some of these characters for the DLC and focused on them then, or just didn't try to give everybody, like, kind of stuff to say and do, because it felt like a lot of the main cast were underused. Because if you think about it, like, you go to Promethea, you meet Reese and you meet Lorelei, so that was like the focus there. Athena had like Maya and Ava. Eden 6 had Hammerlock and Wainwright, and then you come back to Pandora and it's like kind of like probably mostly Vaughn with some of the other characters, and then right at the end of the game you then have Typhon, which was pretty cool, being able to meet him after hearing all these logs and stuff. And that, he was probably one of the best new characters in the entire game, actually.
Yeah,
but
I liked him.
I honestly think they might have been better off scaling back. And obviously you had both the Calypso twins taunting you throughout the game. And to be honest, I quite liked what they were doing. I liked the streamer angle because I thought that was kind of funny.
That was good. The live stream.
Yeah, let's play.
Yeah.
But I liked what you kind of see Tyreen as like this power, the powerful one. And then partway through the game, Troy gets his powers, and then you start to see them almost like not hate each other, but really get pissed off with each other. That's not
sibling rivalry.
Yeah, that's not what I honestly thought that'd been more interesting if they did it, but obviously the game really is more about Tyreen than it is Troy. But while they're maybe not like as funny as Handsome Jack, they definitely had their moments, and I really like the bit where like you're on Eden 6 and like Troy's like going on, and then Wainwright shoots him, and then he's like taunting him the entire time, and that bit on Eden 6 where you got Troy kind of talking to you the most of the time I thought was pretty cool. That was really good character building when he's like trying to think of like how to make these anointed and stuff, and like I did like the villains. I thought they were pretty good. I mean, I don't know, I think it was maybe some stuff that fell flat with them, but overall I kind of enjoyed them. So
yeah, no, I agree. I think they were good characters. Definitely. Yeah, there were parts that I found them really funny. Other parts I just didn't find them that funny at all. But the actual, they played the villains very well. That's for sure. And I like their sort of powers and how they came to be. So yeah, as villains, I think they were pretty good. The one thing I didn't like was the boss fights at the end with them. I just thought they were really lackluster. Like
they were really easy when we did it. So when I did it on my own, it took me time. In fact, all the boss fights we did together took so significantly less time. Now I don't know whether that's because like I said, we felt kind of over leveled from it. I mean, the hardest boss I think that we did was the Ravager. That took fucking ages. Rampager, sorry. That took ages. And every other boss maybe.
That is definitely the best boss fight. It's the most memorable one as well.
Yeah.
So his whole thing was just incredible. Like, literally, at the start, you're hiding behind these pillars. They're popping him off slowly, very slowly, tickling him.
Yeah.
And like as he gets more and more like beaten up, he like basically just goes around and like destroys the entire area, and then you're just left with like open plains, and the guy like just jumps.
Yeah.
I genuinely felt fear like when he jumped me, like shit.
Yeah. So get out of the way. Yeah.
Yeah. Like that was actually my favourite boss fight of the entire game, hands down. I think that was the best done, and obviously it led to a really good cutscene as well. So I think that whole thing up to that was really good. After that, the boss fights just didn't seem quite the same. Captain Tron was pretty good.
Yeah. It was funny.
I thought the Gigamine was quite cool.
Yeah.
Mouthpiece was pretty easy, to be honest, but it took a little while. Once you get to know his little beat thing, yeah, it's alright. Obviously started off with Shiv. Shiv was quite funny.
Yeah. What did you think of Carnivora when you're inside it and you've got like that big thing with the spikes and the fire and Tannis is strapped to it?
Yeah, that was cool. That was so that dude was
Pain and Terror.
The Pain and Terror.
That was the dudes talking to you the entire time. Pain.
Oh yeah. I was thinking of the Agonizer 9000.
That's it, Agonizer 9000. Sorry, that's what it's called. But yeah, Pain's the guy talking to you.
Yeah, I mean it was alright.
Yeah.
Again, it was just like, okay, I'm just shooting a skull, but okay.
Yeah. It's something.
Aurelia was a good boss fight.
Oh yeah,
I like that one.
Yeah. It's definitely something Borderlands isn't great at. It's definitely its weakest part. Like, because even, I'll be honest, I actually quite like the Gravekeeper, or whatever he's called. The big,
Grave Ward.
Grave Ward. Because I like the way that boss works. There's very obvious things that you have to do. Like, at points you need to dive into the holes. There's other points you have to avoid getting punched by running through. It was like it took significantly less time when we did it. But that boss I didn't mind. But yeah, like, Troy, when we did Troy and when we did the Tyreen right at the end, my god, but they were so. I mean, by the time we got to the end, we had such good weapons that it made that final boss fight like a fucking walk in the park, which was disappointing because it should feel hard. But yeah, it's not Borderlands' strongest point, and I don't really know because even Borderlands 2, most of the boss fights in that aren't particularly great. I mean, the final boss is all right, but they're just. I mean, fucking half the Borderlands 2 fights, especially in Tiny Tina's one, when you fight Jack, like the wizard version of Jack, that fight is hard. That's a really tough fight.
Yeah.
You know, and we probably had harder times doing the arena.
That's not the hardest thing, yeah.
Yeah, the arena stuff which was a lot of fun. Like I said to you during it, I was like, even though this is really hard, and like, it was a lot of fun because we were legitimately like fighting for our lives at point for it, and you know, and that was really, really cool. But I agree that the boss fights in this, while some of them are probably quite memorable, they weren't particularly difficult, and I think they need to go back to the drawing board with a lot of the boss fights and think of interesting ways to make, you know, maybe you do stuff with the environments, you know, maybe you can activate things and stuff like, because one of the most annoying boss fights was, I can't remember what his name is, the one who electrifies the floor with his gun, and you're like fighting in a circular arena. Killer Volt. Yeah. Because that was
good. That was a really good one. I enjoyed that boss fight, actually.
I liked it, but it was annoying because just like sometimes there's only very small parts of the floor. But like, I feel like we got to a point in that game where we must have just done a lot of side quests and over leveled. And I was taking weapons from the bank, which I'd got with Zane, and I think my damage was much higher than it should have been. So I felt like we must have hit a point where we were just doing way more damage than we should have been. Because I think those boss fights probably would have been more fun if we were struggling a bit more with them. So
yeah, maybe.
You know.
The other one I remember actually, Billy the Anointed, the guy kill him like 10 times.
Oh god,
I was sick. I actually
you mean
I actually thought it was quite cool.
Do you mean the Goliath fight, the Warden?
Yeah.
Him,
isn't it?
No, Billy the Anointed is the one that teleports around the fucking house. Him. Yeah. You fight the Warden before you free Hammerlock from the cage, and he keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Yeah.
Yeah, that was brilliant. I like that one.
Yeah.
And the other one I thought was actually really good was Katagawa Jr., the ninja.
Oh yeah, that was a good boss fight actually.
That was a boss fight because he kept turning into he kept disappearing. He had to try and figure out which one's which, and then we had to communicate to say, I think it's this one up top. I got him.
Yeah.
And then he'd disappear and teleport like, he's behind you.
This.
So that was that is actually probably one of the better boss fights.
Definitely.
And that leads on to the Katagawa ball as well, which was quite tough.
Yes, that's one of my favourite areas in the game, when you Bruce Ball's down there and he starts playing the music, and it's completely like just disco. It's almost like porn music, you know, kind of got this like disco-y kind of like bounce go out. Oh, I love that track, it's so good. But that actually brings me on to the next thing I want to talk about. It was the different planets, the different places you visit. How did you feel about going to these different worlds, and you know, what were your favourites? What did you enjoy? What didn't you enjoy?
Sure. So a couple of my favourites. Necrotafeo.
Yes.
I think that's how you spell it.
Necrotafeo. Yeah.
Necrotafeo. That was so cool. Like learning more about the Iridian past. For me was awesome. I love the lore. Very different landscapes, everything else. Very volcanic. Very.
Lots of purples and blues.
Yeah. No, it was a nice colour palette. I really enjoyed that area actually. Loads of Malawan. Kill the Malawan guys! You have to put it out there somewhere. Sorry.
Yeah, I know. I knew it was coming at some point.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just so cool. I love it. I actually really like the Malawan dropships. They look really cool.
Yes.
It's very reminds me of Endgame actually.
Yeah.
Avengers.
Yeah.
Or Infinity War. Them dropships looks very very similar. But I was like, yeah, I like it. Looks cool. Athenas, I like that area. Very monastery-ish and felt very oriental.
Yeah.
Then we went. What was it? There's Promethea.
Promethea's my favourite, I think.
Which one was Promethea?
That's the one where Reese was, like, very built up, like Atlas Homeworld.
Atlas. Yeah.
Very high tech.
I like that one.
Lots of neon.
We literally went to one area and it was just like one massive arena.
Yes, that was cool.
Obviously Pandora's like the original. But we didn't really spend much time there, and to be honest, it was alright.
Yeah.
Didn't really go around Pandora. It's more like this is Pandora is like one big thing. There's like 3 areas you go to. Then you got Eden 6 and I think Slaughter 3000 was the Circle of Slaughter, if I'm not
Yes, that is. Yeah. There's also
I like the space one.
The meteor, not the meteor, the asteroid that you're on, or whatever it was. Skywell 26, Skywell 6.
Skywell 27, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, forget about that. That was a good area.
That was fun, actually, the more I think about it.
gravity and everything. It was like trying to. Oh!
That was a bit of a difficulty spike. I remember when we first got there, some of those areas were pretty tough.
Yeah, they were. I think we felt under-leveled going to that one.
Yeah. That reminds me of that quest with like gone on my leggies.
Yeah.
But yeah, the environments, like the places, I really like that idea. But I will say that for me personally, like Necrotafeo, Promethea, and Pandora were the ones I liked the most. Venus was alright. Eden 6 was just too much time was spent on that planet, and it got boring for me personally quite quickly.
I'm never a massive fan of like jungly areas anyway.
Yeah.
So that didn't help.
But
that one.
It's weird, but when you go back to oh my god, Pandora, and you're in Devil's Razor and you're doing some of those areas, it's weird how the game at that point felt more like Borderlands. I think it's because I'm used to being in that kind of desert environment, very wastelandy. But like that was one of my favourite parts of the game, when you go back and you have like you've got Carnivora, and you have the bit where you're going through Sandblast Scar where you're driving the car and things. Like a lot of that was like some of my favourite parts, in terms of side quests as well as like the main quests and whatnot. But yeah, it's weird. Like I'm very divided on how I feel about if they do another game, what they do with it, because I really liked, like Promethea, but I also really liked just being on Pandora. But I don't know how much more they can just set Pandora as like the only planet now that they've done this. But
well, one thing I will say, so obviously when you look at the galaxy map, and then you go into each planet, obviously if you look at each planet, they've only done like 3 or 4 areas of each, and obviously it's still a planet.
yeah, exactly.
So I would like to see like maybe each almost have one expansion per planet, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
And then just really focus really heavily on Pandora. What happens to Pandora after everything's happened, all the CAV and stuff.
Yeah.
And then have like just like 30 different areas to explore in there. Like all the old stuff, basically, bring it back.
Oh my god, I would love that. I am such a sucker for like, I really wanted to in this game to go back to some of the places in Borderlands 2. Because they do that in the second game, where they you go back to the very beginning of the first game. And I'm like, oh, if only they'd done that. That would have put this game that would have given that game that extra cherry on top for me if they'd done that.
But that might be something they do for an expansion, who knows?
Yeah.
Or maybe do like another 3 areas per planet. I actually like the fact that there are planets now and you can go to, and I think that for me expands the world and the lore.
Yeah.
And the fact that there's other places we could potentially go in the future. You kind of obviously with Pandora you're kind of limited to what you can do, right? There's limitations with only having one planet.
Yeah.
Now they've opened it up to actually, well, now we've got a spaceship and we can pretty much go wherever we want. Kind of just opens the scale of Borderlands.
Yeah.
And gives it a lot more opportunity. One thing I will say, actually, Sanctuary, that was a ball ache to find my way around.
That was weirdly made.
Sanctuary for me was a love-hate. Loved the music, hated the freaking trying to find your way around. I probably walked around the stairs probably 20 times before I actually figured they were there.
Yeah.
Towards the end of the game, I kind of got used to it, but my god, it was not a fun place to try and... Where the hell am I going? It says over there, I'll go up. Where how do I go up?
They definitely could have made that easier, for sure.
Oh, definitely. They tried to cram too much in a small area. They should have just made it a bigger ship, or just, I don't know. Like, there was like 4 different levels. Like, just take 2 levels out and make it bigger.
I think they tried to fit a lot in a small space. I think reducing one of the levels would have made sense. There were still areas in that ship that don't get used, so it's like, do you need these here? But I agree, like, Sanctuary was cool. It was a cool idea. But you're running like backwards and forwards and up and down the stairs and stuff. Like, once you figure the ship layout, it's not as like, it's easy to get to most of the areas because there's like.
Well, you figured it out straight away.
Yeah.
I figured it out pretty much towards the end of our playthrough, like 60 hours down the line.
Yeah.
I was still trying, like, where the hell am I going? I'm so lost.
yeah. No, it was a weird thing that was.
Just because of the stairs. The stairs were what threw me. I didn't see them like for the first like. I just like followed you around. I just never remembered they were there because they were like tucked away in the corner.
Yeah.
I think it was down by Moxie. And then as you go up, that's how you get to like all of the top of the ship.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh. So I kept going the other way with like up by Marcus and then up those stairs to find them. But
Yeah.
Yeah, not a big fan. Not a big fan.
No,
of
it could
area.
definitely do with a redesign for sure. All right, so
Music was.
the music was fantastic. I think the music in this game in general was fantastic. A lot of the areas, for me, like Sanctuary was memorable. The title screen music was memorable. Respawn music, fucking great.
You know, it's a good game when the main menu has like one of the best soundtracks. I mean, it was phenomenal.
The weird thing,
start to the game.
yeah, for sure. The weirdest thing, and this is probably just a personal thing, the music on the main menu gives a very different vibe and feel to the game than what that I actually got from the game. Like, to me, the music I was getting from the menu was giving me a very almost darker, negative, like shit's going down in this game, and that does happen. But a lot of the other music doesn't reflect that. I can't really explain it because, like, the main menu for Borderlands 2, another track that I absolutely love, because it has the camera spin round and you see all the areas that you visit in Borderlands 2. And you see the Hyperion ship and all this other stuff. It kind of fits really well. Whereas this music, it fits really well, but it gives me a kind of vibe that I don't actually get from playing the game, and I can't put my finger on why. But it might just be because it's not showing you much of the game. It just shows you a bit of Pandora, and it's kind of leaving. It's almost like leaving like this unknown. It's like, here's Pandora, but when you actually play the game, you're doing all this other stuff, and yeah, it's weird. It's like it's very much a personal feel to it, but. I loved it nevertheless. I was like, the music, to be honest, like the battle music, a lot of the areas you visit is fucking great. Like, I love it. It's so good. Which, to me, enhances the experience. Like, I'm so into having, like, because Borderlands 2 has a soundtrack that I love, I was like, okay, are we going to hear any of these classic tunes? Which you don't, but there were plenty of times I'm like, okay, the music's really enhancing this fight, or it's really enhancing this boss, or... The atmospheric music was really, really good and like memorable, and I found myself humming them and stuff like that. So, for me, I had an absolute blast with the music in this.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for me, the music was one of the better parts of the game, and the fact that there were so many different variations. I think you mentioned before there was like different composers for different parts, different planets.
It's four or five.
Kind of made it very unique for each area. For me, some of the highlights that I had to go away and actually find them, because I kind of when you're actually playing the game, sometimes I like can't quite listen to the music. I'm like, they're busy playing the game.
Yeah.
But a lot of the tunes that I kind of liked and sort of earmarked were like kind of Athena's. Kind of had a very StarCrafty-esque
Athena's sort of
space music, very chilled. But
was it Athena's, or do you mean Prometheus?
Athena's for me.
Oh, okay, because Prometheus gave me that kind of neon vibe kind of sound, but I know what you mean by like the StarCraft vibe.
Yeah, so Neon Arterial was absolutely epic. I mean, I felt that was more Space Age, very Morpheus, Unreal Tournament.
Yeah, sure.
Heavy, like fast-paced music. The Metroplex had some pretty cool stuff, and Floodmore Basin was very atmospheric.
Yeah,
those were the ones that I kind of earmarked in my eyes. That those were the kind of standout tunes. Every area kind of had its own unique music, and I think the fact they had different composers doing each area kind of compounds that, really. I
liked that because it meant that the music stood out on its own. Like, you go to Prometheus, it's going to be more like sci-fi. You go to like Athena's, it's probably going to be a bit more atmospheric, or a little bit more like it's going to have a very different feel, because it's a very you're trying to match the music to the design of the area. And then, like, even though I wasn't a big fan of Eden 6, I liked a lot of the music there. It worked very well, especially the battle music. So for me, yeah, I liked a lot of the tunes in this. I'm such a music guy that the reason why the music for me enhances my experience to the point where this makes it more memorable. If I took the music out of this game, like, I wouldn't have as much fun as I do, because I like hearing those tunes. And I think, like, and that comes from Borderlands 1 and 2 as well. Borderlands 2, while I am not a big fan of the starting area, all the frozen cold areas, the reason why I find it tolerable is because I love the atmospheric music that plays in the first areas, and the battle variant of that track is so good. And I got the same kind of feel here with this game, where it was like, I'm exploring, but I'm trying to keep an ear on what I'm hearing as well. And I for me, it was like, this is fucking awesome. So I was like all over the music in this. So. Yeah,
I definitely think Sanctuary is the best music track, and possibly Neon Arterial as well, probably up there.
Sanctuary works on so many levels because it gives off a vibe of like there's a lot of emotion in that track, and especially after the bit where Maya gets killed and you go back to Sanctuary and everyone's on the thing, and then this like a guitar kicks in and you're just like, "Whoo, fuck, shit just got real, man!" Like, you know, and it kind of works really well, especially at the end of the game as well. It kind of highlights moments. I don't know whether that was intentional, but it kind of gives off that vibe of like, yeah, stuff's happening. Like it gives a lot of emotion, which is something that I really appreciated. So definitely one of the best tracks in the game. So, right, I think that's pretty much everything. Before we wrap this up, just the kind of like final question for you, as someone who's played other looter shooters as well, and the same goes for me. For you, is this the best looter shooter you've played, or like how do you feel about it as a looter shooter?
Hands down the best looter shooter I've played.
Yeah.
I would say Borderlands 2 was probably the best looter shooter until this one.
Yeah.
Obviously, this game just overhauls everything in my eyes. From a looter shooter perspective, there's more weapons to choose from, loads more manufacturers. The graphics were just so good, so good. Obviously, keeps that art style, but just makes it cleaner. Even the UI was like that much easier to use. And it was much more better scale. It's just such a nice game, very stable in my eyes. There wasn't many bugs. So yeah, I think this is the best looter shooter. When you compare it to like the likes of other games like Destiny and Anthem, it's uncomparable. Like in the sense that Destiny has like 20, 30 main weapons, and the rest are just stats. Same with Anthem. Anthem was even worse. I mean, there was like 10 weapons.
Yeah.
This has literally hundreds of different like core weapons, and then billions of different variations, literally. So, I mean, yeah, it's in a league of its own as far as looter shooters go. It is what I would see as a true looter shooter, or schluter.
Schluter, nice.
But yeah, no, it's for me, yeah, definitely the best looter shooter out there. And I've really had a good time. I wouldn't put 60 hours or 80 hours into a game that I didn't think much of.
Yeah, for sure.
It's an absolute blast. I think it's definitely better with more than one person. For me, I think playing this game on my own is quite a long game.
Yeah.
Definitely playing it with you has made it a lot more enjoyable. But yeah, absolutely brilliant game. Hands down, one of the better games this year. Whether it makes my top 5 at the end of the year, I don't know. It's probably on the lower end of the 5s.
Yeah.
But I definitely think it has a place.
Yeah. I think, like, in terms, like, for me, so I was really skeptical about this game leading up to launch because of the controversy surrounding it that kept happening, and also because I was like, it's 2K, they're owned by Take-Two. What we're seeing 2K do with all their other games, I know Gearbox made it, but like, I was like, there's going to be transactions in this, and the game came out, and like, the only things I think you can buy currently are the pre-order bonuses for like certain things, like so skins and stuff. So I'm like, cool. And the only other thing you can buy is the season pass, which is basically what Borderlands 2 had. So I've got to commend them for not basically going microtransactions to this, which was something I was genuinely worried. And like, for me, this is a game that, like, I loved the second one when it came out. Like, I loved the first one, but the second one, it was a game I just spent a shit ton of time into. So I was a little bit dubious, and then the game comes out, and then after my issue trying to load into the game, when we finally got to play it, and we played it for a good like whole couple of days and things, like, I was like, this is exactly what I wanted from a Borderlands game. They tackled the two things that I wanted them to change, which was have a choice of abilities for your characters, make the guns more interesting, and they did both of that, and they did both of that in a really good way. I will say some of the abilities are kind of copy and paste with some minor changes from the original other games, but they made the characters interesting, and they made the guns really interesting. Like, when you're picking up different manufacturers now, that you can tell what they do. They're different, they have different abilities, and because of that, like, finding loot was really interesting constantly. Like, yeah, okay, near the end of the game we found a bunch of junk, but that process of starting off the game and exploring these worlds, and like, hitting certain difficulty spikes, and you know, having the funny moments and the entire experience that you and I had playing it. It was like, this was everything that I could have asked for from a Borderlands game, regardless of any like bugs I had, regardless of any like issues I had, and even if the story is sometimes a little lackluster. Terms of just straight up, just as a looter shooter, I don't think we're going to see any game beat this for a while. I don't know of any other games coming out. I mean, you know, Destiny still puts out expansions and stuff. I've played Destiny, but because this game, Borderlands 3, goes for a very cartoony art style, goes for a very silly humour, I'd rather play a game like that kind of goes for no realism, so that they can put in ridiculous weapons, like a gun that fires shit, a gun that fires burgers, like, you know, guns where like bullets fly everywhere. Like that craziness is what makes this game so good. You know, like you said, you found a pistol near the end of the game that was like perfect because it had a much bigger clip and it fired really fast. And you know, that the Egon weapon that I gave you, I didn't think much of, and then turns out it was like super cool. Like the fact that all this stuff exists because they're not going, this has got to be super realistic or whatever, that really benefits this game. And I think, for me personally, like, while I think there are parts of Borderlands 2 that I still probably edge over this one, generally speaking, as a looter shooter, this is probably the best looter shooter I've ever played, and some of the most fun I've had playing a game this year.
Definitely. And it is, on top of that as well, it's a beautifully crafted world.
Yeah.
With lots of lore, lots of things to explore. I mean, there's literally so much to do. And we literally did all the side quests, but, I mean, well, pretty much.
Most of them.
And that took a long time.
Yeah.
So there's easy 100 hours of entertainment just in literally doing it the first time round. That's not including any sort of replayability value that there is. And there is a lot. I mean, you've got, obviously, Legendary Vault Hunter mode, and then you've got 3 different Mayhem modes on top of that. So there's a lot of replayability. And
you can do the arenas as many times as you want. You can do the trials as many times as you want. You can go online and queue up for things like that, which is really cool. So they've really made it, you know. And then after you complete the story, you unlock Guardian ranks, which is what I've been leveling up. And then that adds these extra levels that you can add, like, you know, percentages and stuff that add up over time, and get extra skills, extra cosmetics, stuff like that as well. So there's a lot of replay value here. So, but yeah, I think we pretty much covered everything. I think that's everything I wanted to talk about. Anything final you want to say on it, or is that you've said everything you want to say?
No, I think that pretty much covers everything, to be honest. As they thoroughly had a blast playing this game, and I really look forward to the next expansion. Like, come at me. What have you got? What have you got for me? What's next to explore? Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to some additional content. But I did really enjoy this series. It's been a absolute pleasure and a blast.
Yeah, definitely. I can echo that as well. I am super excited for the expansions. Like, even if they're not, even if they're not focused on characters I want, I'm sure they'll be fun. So I'm super excited about that. But that is going to do it for...
Give me more Tiny Tina!
Yeah.
All I will say, give me more Tiny Tina.
It'll happen.
Actually, Dark You Legend.
Yeah. Alright guys, thank you very much for listening and watching. As always, if you like the video, hit like. If you want to see more of this stuff, hit subscribe, and obviously comment down below. Give us your thoughts on the game, if you like it, you don't like it, all that good stuff, if you agree and disagree. Obviously Facebook and Twitter down below, and I'll put a link down there for Mr. donHaize's channel if you want to go and watch our playthrough, which is pretty much mostly up now, isn't it? There's probably a few more episodes to put up, but there's about 5 or 6 more to go. Yeah,
that's it.
So you'll be able to watch it over there. You'll also be able to see any of the other stuff he's put up. So cinematic movies, AMVs, other playthroughs. Go check out his stuff. But until next video, I'll see you next time.
Peace.